Hello friends, welcome to our channel, where we dive deep into the extraordinary lives of the world's most powerful and fascinating leaders. Today, we bring you the gripping story of a man who rose from humble beginnings in Soviet-era Leningrad to become one of the most influential and controversial figures of the 21st century, Vladimir Putin. From his childhood struggles, his time as a KGB officer, and navigating the collapse of the Soviet Union, to shaping Russia into a global powerhouse, Putin's life is nothing short of legendary. Love him or hate him, his journey is a testament to resilience, ambition, and power. So sit back, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more amazing content on the lives of world leaders. Share it with your friends so they can join us on this incredible journey. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. So don't waste time, let's get started. Number 1. Early life and education. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin was born on October 7, 1952, in Leningrad, Soviet Union, now St. Petersburg, Russia. He was the youngest of 3 children born to Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin and Maria Ivanovna Putina. His father served in the Soviet Navy and later in the NKVD during World War II, while his mother was a factory worker. Putin's early life was marked by the hardships of post-war Leningrad, including the loss of his 2 older brothers, Albert and Victor, the former dying in infancy, and the latter succumbing to diphtheria during the siege of Leningrad. In 1960, Putin began his education at school number 193 in Leningrad. At the age of 12, he started practicing sambo and judo, developing a passion for martial arts that would continue throughout his life. He also showed an early interest in the works of Marx, Engels, and Lenin. Putin attended St. Petersburg High School 281, which had a German language immersion program, becoming fluent in German, a skill he would later utilize in his career. In 1970, Putin enrolled at Leningrad State University, where he studied law, and graduated in 1975. His thesis focused on the most favored nation trading principle, During his university years, he was required to join the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and remained a member until its dissolution in 1991. It was also during this time that he met Anatoly Sobchak, an assistant professor who would later become a significant political figure in St. Petersburg and a mentor to Putin. After graduating, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's main security agency, where he underwent training at the 401st KGB school in Okhta, Leningrad. He initially worked in the 2nd Chief Directorate, Counterintelligence, before being transferred to the 1st Chief Directorate, monitoring foreigners and consular officials in Leningrad. In 1984, he was sent to Moscow for further training at the Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute. From 1985 to 1990, Putin served in Dresden, East Germany, under the cover identity of a translator, where he liaised with the Stasi, East Germany's secret police. Following the collapse of the East German government, Putin returned to Leningrad in early 1990 as a member of the active reserves. He worked at Leningrad State University, where he sought new KGB recruits and renewed his connection with Anatoly Sobchak, who had become the mayor of Leningrad. Putin claims that he resigned from the KGB with the rank of lieutenant colonel on August 20th, 1991, during the failed coup against Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, stating that he did not want to be part of the intelligence services under the new administration. In May 1990, Putin was appointed as an advisor on international affairs to Mayor Anatoly Sobchak. By June 1991, he became head of the Committee for External Relations of the Mayor's Office, responsible for promoting international relations and foreign investments. During this period, he was investigated for alleged irregularities in export deals, but he remained in his position until 1996. From 1994 to 1996, Putin held several other political and governmental positions in St. Petersburg, including first deputy chairman of the government of St. Petersburg. In 1997, Putin received a degree in economics from the St. Petersburg Mining University, with a thesis on energy dependencies and their instrumentalization in foreign policy. His supervisor was Vladimir Litvinenko, who later managed his presidential election campaigns in St. Petersburg. There have been allegations of plagiarism in his thesis, with claims that parts were copied from a management textbook. In July 1998, President Boris Yeltsin appointed Putin as director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, the successor to the KGB. A year later, in August 1999, Yeltsin appointed him as one of 3 first deputy prime ministers, and later that day as acting prime minister of the Russian Federation. Yeltsin also announced that he wanted Putin to be his successor. On December 31, 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned, and Putin became acting president. He won the subsequent presidential election in March 2000, marking the beginning of his long tenure as Russia's leader. Throughout his early life and career, Putin's experiences, from his modest beginnings in Leningrad, through his education and KGB service, to his rise in the political ranks of St. Petersburg and Moscow, shaped his worldview and leadership style, characterized by a focus on state control, security, and a centralized authority. Number 2. Law school and early career. Vladimir Putin attended Leningrad State University, now St. Petersburg State University, enrolling in 1970 and graduating in 1975. He studied in the law faculty, focusing on international law. His decision to pursue law stemmed from an early ambition to work in intelligence, particularly for the KGB, Committee for State Security. During his time at university, Putin was a diligent and reserved student. His thesis was titled "The Most Favored Nation Trading Principle in International Law," reflecting his interest in international relations and legal frameworks. Putin was also required to join the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, CPSU, during his university years, a mandatory step for students aiming for future careers in state institutions. While at university, Putin came under the mentorship of Anatoly Sobchak, a law professor specializing in commercial law. Sobchak later became a prominent political figure as the mayor of Leningrad, later renamed St. Petersburg. This mentorship would prove pivotal for Putin's political career in the 1990s. Putin's interest in intelligence work led him to join the KGB immediately after graduating in 1975. His legal education provided a strong foundation for his role in the organization. He underwent rigorous training at the 401st KGB School in Okhta, Leningrad, specializing in counterintelligence. In his early KGB career, Putin worked in the 2nd Chief Directorate, focusing on counterintelligence operations within the Soviet Union. He was later transferred to the 1st Chief Directorate, responsible for foreign intelligence. During this period, he monitored foreign diplomats and consular staff stationed in Leningrad. Putin's competence and dedication earned him further training at the Yuri Andropov Red Banner Institute in Moscow in 1984. This elite training institution prepared him for higher-level assignments, including work abroad. Dresden Assignment, 1985 to 1990. From 1985 to 1990, Putin served in Dresden, East Germany, under the cover of being a translator. In reality, he worked to strengthen ties between the KGB and the Stasi, East Germany's secret police. His primary tasks included gathering intelligence on NATO activities and monitoring political dissidents. This assignment coincided with the waning years of the Cold War, and Putin witnessed firsthand the collapse of East Germany's communist regime in 1989. His experiences in Dresden deeply influenced his perspective on political stability, national sovereignty, and the role of the state in managing dissent. After returning to Leningrad in 1990, Putin transitioned to civilian life while remaining in the KGB's active reserves. He began working at Leningrad State University as an assistant to Anatoly Sobchak, who had become an influential figure in the city. In this role, Putin sought new KGB recruits and worked on international relations projects for the university. Transition to politics. Putin's legal background and KGB career prepared him for his eventual move into politics. In 1991, he formally resigned from the KGB, citing dissatisfaction with its role during the failed August coup against Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. This marked the beginning of his shift toward political administration, as he started working in the office of Mayor Anatoly Sobchak as an advisor on international affairs. His responsibilities included attracting foreign investment and managing international relations for the city. Number 3. Vladimir Putin's entry into politics. In the early 1990s, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Putin transitioned from his career in the KGB to politics. After his return from Dresden, East Germany in 1990, Putin worked in Leningrad State University's International Affairs Office under the mentorship of Anatoly Sobchak, a former professor who had become a prominent political figure. Sobchak, who was elected as the mayor of Leningrad in 1991, played a crucial role in Putin's entry into politics. During this time, Putin resigned from the KGB in August 1991, citing his unwillingness to work for the organization during the political upheaval caused by the failed coup attempt against Mikhail Gorbachev. This marked a formal break from his intelligence career and the beginning of his focus on public administration. In May 1990, Putin was appointed an advisor on international affairs to Mayor Anatoly Sobchak. By June 1991, he became the head of the Committee for External Relations of the Mayor's Office, a position that involved managing foreign investments and fostering international partnerships for the city. This role exposed Putin to the complexities of managing the city's external relations during the tumultuous post-Soviet period. Under Putin's leadership, the Committee for External Relations handled critical issues such as 1. Attracting foreign investment. Putin worked to modernize Leningrad, later renamed St. Petersburg, by fostering business relationships with Western companies. 2. Overseeing trade. He managed programs related to barter deals for essential goods like food supplies, which were scarce during the economic transition. 4. Combating corruption allegations. In 1992, Putin faced accusations of irregularities in licensing export deals, although he remained in his position. These experiences allowed Putin to build a reputation for efficiency and loyalty, traits that would later define his political ascent. Deputy Mayor of St. Petersburg. In 1994, Putin became first deputy mayor of St. Petersburg, consolidating his influence within the city's administration. In this role, he further deepened his relationship with Sobchak, acting as a trusted aide and often managing sensitive matters. Putin's focus during this period remained on attracting investment and fostering modernization in a city struggling to adapt to the post-Soviet reality. However, in 1996, Anatoly Sobchak lost his bid for re-election. Following this defeat, Putin resigned from his positions in the St. Petersburg administration. This temporary setback would soon lead to his relocation to Moscow, where his political career gained significant momentum. Move to Moscow. After leaving St. Petersburg, Putin moved to Moscow in 1996. With the help of his network, he secured a position in the Presidential Property Management Department, responsible for overseeing foreign property assets of the Russian Federation. His performance in this relatively low-profile role impressed senior officials in the Kremlin. In 1997, Putin was appointed Deputy Chief of the Presidential Staff, and later as Chief of the Main Control Directorate. In these roles, he gained a reputation as a competent, hard-working, and discreet administrator, earning the trust of President Boris Yeltsin and key figures in Yeltsin's administration. Director Secretariat Tartiforos FSB. In July 1998, Yeltsin appointed Putin as the Director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, the successor to the KGB. This role marked Putin's return to the security apparatus and provided him with critical insights into the workings of modern Russia's intelligence and security sectors. During this period, Putin also became a secretary of the Security Council, further consolidating his influence within the government. The appointment as Prime Minister. In August 1999, Putin was appointed Prime Minister by President Yeltsin. At the time, Yeltsin's presidency was marred by health issues, political instability, and economic challenges, leading him to seek a reliable successor. Putin's loyalty, administrative efficiency, and background in security made him an ideal candidate in Yeltsin's eyes. As Prime Minister, Putin faced the challenge of addressing the Second Chechen War, launched in response to increased insurgent activities in the region. His decisive and firm handling of the situation bolstered his popularity and positioned him as a strong leader capable of restoring order. Becoming acting president. On December 31, 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly announced his resignation, naming Vladimir Putin as acting president of the Russian Federation. This move was part of Yeltsin's strategy to secure a peaceful transfer of power to a trusted successor. Putin, who was relatively unknown to the public at the time, quickly gained widespread support due to his image as a decisive and competent leader. Winning the presidency. In March 2000, Putin ran in the presidential elections and won decisively, securing his position as the President of Russia. His platform focused on restoring national pride, economic stability, and law and order, a message that resonated with a population eager for strong leadership after a decade of post-Soviet chaos. Putin's entry into politics was marked by a combination of strategic relationships, administrative competence, and a focus on loyalty. His ability to navigate complex political landscapes and maintain the trust of powerful figures propelled him from the municipal level in St. Petersburg to the highest office in the Russian Federation within less than a decade. Number 4. The fall of the Soviet Union. During the late 1980s, Vladimir Putin was serving as a KGB officer in Dresden, East Germany, a frontline position in the Cold War. Stationed abroad from 1985 to 1990, Putin witnessed firsthand the rapid decline of the Soviet Union's influence in Eastern Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989, which signaled the collapse of communist regimes across Eastern Europe, had a profound impact on Putin's worldview. He later described the experience as a moment of disillusionment and chaos. Putin's KGB post in Dresden involved liaising with the Stasi, East Germany's secret police, and gathering intelligence on NATO activities. However, as protests against communist rule intensified, the KGB and Stasi found themselves increasingly unable to maintain control. When protesters stormed the KGB office in Dresden in December 1989, Putin reportedly ordered the destruction of sensitive documents. He later described the event as a moment of helplessness, as Soviet authorities in Moscow failed to provide guidance or support. This period shaped Putin's perception of the Soviet Union's decline as a betrayal of its global responsibilities and a failure of governance. He would later call the collapse of the Soviet Union the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. Return to Leningrad, 1990. In early 1990, Putin returned to the Soviet Union and was assigned to the KGB's active reserves in Leningrad. He began working at Leningrad State University, ostensibly in its International Affairs Office, while still maintaining ties to the KGB. During this time, he renewed his relationship with Anatoly Sobchak, a law professor who was rising as a prominent reformist politician. As the Soviet Union teetered on the brink of collapse, Putin witnessed the growing economic and political instability. Leningrad, like other Soviet cities, faced severe shortages of goods, hyperinflation, and rising crime. These challenges underscored the weaknesses of the central government and the inefficiency of its planned economy. The August coup of 1991 of the pivotal events leading to the Soviet Union's collapse was the August coup of 1991, a failed attempt by hardline communists to overthrow President Mikhail Gorbachev and reverse his reforms. The coup was orchestrated by members of the State Committee on the State of Emergency, who opposed Gorbachev's policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. Putin, still officially a KGB officer at the time, was deeply affected by the coup. He reportedly resigned from the KGB on August 20th, 1991, the day after the coup began, citing his disapproval of the organization's involvement. He later explained that he did not want to be part of an intelligence service that would act against its own people. This decision marked a significant turning point in Putin's life, as he severed formal ties with the Soviet intelligence apparatus. The Soviet Union's dissolution, December 1991. On December 25, 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev resigned as president of the Soviet Union, effectively ending the 69-year-old state. The following day, the Supreme Soviet formally dissolved, and the Russian Federation, led by Boris Yeltsin, emerged as the successor state. For Putin, the dissolution of the Soviet Union was a deeply personal and professional turning point. In addition to the loss of his position within the KGB, he experienced the collapse of the ideological and geopolitical framework that had defined his career and identity. Putin later described the period as one of profound humiliation for Russia, marked by economic hardship, a loss of international prestige, and internal chaos. Putin's reflections on the fall of the Soviet Union. Vladimir Putin has often spoken about the Soviet Union's collapse with a mix of regret and pragmatism. In his view, the dissolution was not only a geopolitical disaster, but also a tragedy for millions of Russians who found themselves stranded in newly independent states. Ethnic Russians in countries like Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and the Baltic states faced discrimination and loss of connection to their homeland, a situation Putin has repeatedly highlighted in his rhetoric. At the same time, Putin has acknowledged some of the Soviet Union's failings, particularly its inability to modernize its economy and political system. He has criticized the central government's inefficiency, the stifling nature of the planned economy, and the lack of political freedoms under communist rule. Impact on Putin's leadership philosophy. The fall of the Soviet Union profoundly influenced Putin's leadership style and policies. Key lessons he drew from this period include: Number 1. The importance of strong central authority. Putin views the collapse as a result of weak leadership and disunity. His presidency has been characterized by efforts to centralize power and prevent regional separatism. Number 2. Economic stability as a pillar of national strength. The economic chaos of the 1990s deeply impacted Putin. As president, he has prioritized stabilizing Russia's economy and asserting state control over strategic industries. Number 3. Restoring national pride. Putin has sought to restore Russia's status as a global power, often invoking the Soviet Union's achievements in science, military strength, and international influence. Number 4. Protecting Russian minorities abroad. The plight of ethnic Russians in post-Soviet states has been a recurring theme in Putin's foreign policy, influencing actions such as the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Putin's experiences during the fall of the Soviet Union shaped his worldview and his approach to governance. His policies reflect a desire to prevent a repeat of what he perceives as the chaos and humiliation of the early 1990s, aiming instead to build a strong, centralized, and assertive Russia. Number 5. Ministership, 2008 to 2012. Vladimir Putin served as Russia's Prime Minister from 2008 to 2012, following 2 consecutive terms as President from 2000 to 2008. During this period, Dmitry Medvedev held the presidency, but Putin remained the dominant political figure, exercising significant influence over the country's policies. This era, often referred to as the Tandemocracy, showcased Putin's ability to maintain his grip on power while respecting constitutional limits, setting the stage for his eventual return to the presidency in 2012. The Tandemocracy arrangement between Medvedev and Putin was carefully designed to maintain political stability and continuity of governance. While Medvedev focused on modernization and legal reforms, Putin, as Prime Minister, retained control over key areas of domestic and foreign policy. His leadership of the ruling United Russia Party and oversight of the cabinet ensured his authority remained unchallenged. This period highlighted Putin's ability to adapt to constitutional constraints while preserving his political dominance, a hallmark of his leadership style. Response to the global financial crisis. The 2008 to 2009 global financial crisis posed a significant challenge to Russia's economy. Falling oil prices, a critical source of government revenue, led to economic contraction, unemployment, and capital flight. Putin spearheaded a series of measures to stabilize the economy, including bank bailouts, providing financial support to major banks to prevent a collapse of the financial system, stimulus packages, subsidizing industries and increasing public spending to stimulate economic recovery, currency stabilization, using foreign reserves to defend the ruble and restore investor confidence. These measures helped Russia recover faster than many other countries, though they also underscored the nation's dependence on energy exports. return to the presidency. In September 2011, Medvedev announced that he would not seek re-election and endorsed Putin as the candidate for the 2012 presidential election. This move confirmed that Putin had always intended to return to the presidency, and it sparked criticism from opposition groups and segments of the public. Putin won the March 2012 election with a decisive majority, marking the beginning of his third term as president. And there you have it. The incredible journey of Vladimir Putin, a man whose life story is filled with power, controversy, and determination. From his rise through the KGB ranks to becoming Russia's most influential leader in modern history, his path has been anything but ordinary. Love him or criticize him, Putin's legacy is undeniably monumental in shaping the world stage. What do you think about his leadership and his impact on Russia and the world? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of world leaders that shaped history. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an exciting episode from our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.